I will be presenting my Epreuve synthese, which will be on the acid mine drainage. So, what is AMD? AMD, commonly known as acid mine drainage and metalliferous drainage or acid rock drainage, is the outflow of acidic water from metal mines or coal mines. So the causes of acid rock drainage occurs naturally within some environments as part of the rock weathering process. Rock weathering are processes that break down rocks at the Earth's surface by the action of rainwater, extremes of temperature, and biological effects. But the most noticeable and impactful are from the large-scale earth disturbance of mining and other large construction activities, usually within rocks containing an abundance of sulfide minerals. During the mining process to extract minerals from the earth, sulfur-bearing minerals are exposed to oxygen, and when those waste minerals also come in contact with water, they will form an acidic and sulfate-rich product that can flow and accumulate into near streams of water. So, archaeological discoveries of mining in prehistory shows that although AMD is a more recent problem in North America, with the growth in the mining industry and the large-scale exploitation of the earth, the outflow of acidic water from mines must have been present for a long time, only to a lesser extent than it is now. As early as, for example, the Phoenicians, and as early as 2750 before present, were noticing that a river was of the color red of wine flowing into the blue waters of the Mediterranean Sea, which was probably because of the acid mine drainage. So now, with some of the background on AMD, we'll talk more in detail with about the chemical reactions that define AMD. So the principal environmental concerns related to mine waste are the oxidation of sulfide minerals within the waste materials and the release of oxidation products to the groundwater and surface waters. Pyrite being the most abundant sulfide mineral, since it is widespread in ore deposits, then we'll look at mostly reactions containing sulfide minerals in it. A general reaction to describe pyrite weathering for AMD is so 4 moles of pyrite plus 15 moles of oxygen and 14 moles of water will go and react together to create what is commonly known as yellow boy. I'll get into more detail of that a bit later, and sulfuric acid. So this general reaction can be divided into 4 others. So you've got, yeah, okay. So you've got your first reaction in which um, ferrous iron is released and generates 2 moles of acidity for each mole of pyrite oxidized, and so 2 moles, exactly, so 2 moles of acidity for each mole of pyrite oxidized. So pyrite plus oxygen plus water, it's gonna give you ferrous iron, sulfate, and some hydrogen ions. The second reaction converts ferrous iron, so Fe2+, into ferric iron, which is Fe3+. This conversion of 1 mole of acidity and this reaction rate is pH dependent, with the reaction proceeding slowly under acidic conditions. So this is defined as the rate determining step in the overall acid generating sequence because it is the slowest step. So ferrous iron plus oxygen plus acidity will react and give ferric iron plus water. The third reaction of this overall process is the hydrolysis of iron. So hydrolysis, as the word suggests, is the reaction which splits the water molecule. This will form ferric hydroxide precipitate, and so this is commonly known as yellow boy because one, it is a precipitate, so it is insoluble in water, and two, it's commonly known as yellow boy because it gives the signature look of the AMD contaminated rivers or streams of water. And also it is pH dependent because solids form if the pH is above 3.5 but below 3.5, there's little or no solids that will precipitate. So yes, ferric iron plus water, um, right here, ferric iron plus water will give ferric hydroxide or yellow boy and some 12 moles of hydrogen ions. The fourth reaction is the oxidation of extrapyrite by ferric iron. So the ferric iron is generated in this reaction, in this second reaction we talked about. It will be reused and used in this fourth reaction, which is a cyclic and self-propagating part of the overall reaction, and will continue until either ferric iron or pyrite is depleted. So it is important to note that the low pH solutions caused from the reactions involving pyrite will increase the solubility of other potentially toxic metals such as copper, cobalt, and lead. So some biological consequences now. So since pH is an important factor that contributes to the maintaining of life, for example, our blood plasma has pH buffers such as hemoglobin and albumin, and the normal physiological pH of mammalian arterial blood is strictly maintained at 7.4. This is also the case for, well, not the case for water, but pH is also a really important factor in water. So the pH varies according to the location, temperature, and environment the water is in, but disrupting that pH also disrupts the organisms living in it. So as I said previously, low pH increases solubility of metals, and in dissolved form, metals are more readily absorbed and accumulated by plants and life, and therefore they're more toxic than they are in solid phase. AMD can provoke biodiversity loss. Killing a species of fish is the most noticeable in contaminated waters, and also since some species are more tolerant in pH change than others, that creates an imbalance in the ecosystem. Additionally, this means that through bioaccumulation, the whole food chain is affected. Maybe this is obvious, but humans also cannot consume water that is too acidic. Which brings me to the next slide. Um, Acid mine drainage is a product of mining that can last up to thousands of years, so it is important to understand the methods to prevent it and remediate it. Prevention should be done by mining companies and where heavy regulations on the ratio of the relative amount of acid-forming minerals is then compared to the amount of neutralizing minerals, such as calcite, to develop a prediction of the probability of acid generation. A way to remediate is through acid neutralization. So in the early stages of sulfide oxidation, the dissolution of carbonate minerals such as calcite, mentioned previously, results in maintaining the pH of the pore water near neutral, so around 6.5 to 7.5. For example, the dissolution of 1 mole of calcite results in the consumption of 1 mole of acid. Passive treatments such as wetlands help treat AMD by controlling where the iron forms and keeps it from washing into the rest of the stream or near bodies of water, but it does not lower the pH. So an active treatment is adding lime or other alkaline materials to neutralize the acidity. We can also add uncontaminated soil and plant vegetation to reduce infiltration of surface water into the contaminated material. Bioreactors also are another treatment. So adding compost and animal waste can help adjust pH by establishing desired microorganisms. So on January 25th, there was a big disaster in Brumadinho, Brazil, where the dam, a dam broke, which created gigantic amount of iron ore waste to be dealt with. So as discussed earlier, acid mining drainage has important environmental impacts, and so in this context, we'll look a bit more about how that affected. So toxicological tests demonstrated that the water and sediments were toxic to different trophic levels, furthering my point of bioaccumulation and magnification. So from algae to microcrustaceans and fish. The fish exposed to water and sediments containing mine or also accumulated metals in muscle tissue. So the rupture were tough. The Brumadinho, sorry, dam rupture were toxic to different trophic levels. The unicellular algae was more sensitive because growth inhibition was observed in sampled sites near the dam break around 61 kilometers and 101 kilometers from where the dam broke. So although the dam break did not occur due to AMD itself, it is important to be able to understand why AMD affects the environment and how we should treat it for situations just like this that were recently and still very important for current times. Thank you.